Hey, Apple, Tim Cook, buddy, I see you. Trying to sneak around, but I see you.
Get daily tech news in a way that doesn't suck. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Front Page Tech, the show that gives you all latest tech news from one geek that is me to another that is you. Happy Thursday. I hope you had a great day. This is a fake smile because I have had a shit day, and so you're gonna get a shit episode. Really, what's the difference, though, from like the normal everyday episode? News. All right, so story numero uno, first story of the day. Speaking of shitty things, how about any messaging service that Google has ever tried to make ever in the history of everness? No, I'm not just taking this out on Google because I had a bad day. This stuff is actually shitty. Every messaging client ever. There are so many things that Google does so well, better than any company ever, but for some reason, messaging just is not on that list. We knew that Google was killing Hangouts, at least the traditional version of Hangouts that we've been used to. They're also killing Allo. That lasted long. You remember Allo, their smart messaging app? Yeah, well, it turns out it wasn't so smart, and it has got to go. So Allo itself will continue to work as a platform through March of 2019, and after that, well, yeah, bad news. Now, if you would allow me to give you a brief history lesson of how terrible Google is at messaging clients, Google Talk, Google Voice, Google Wave, Google Plus Hangouts. Oh, and the version of Hangouts that supported SMS. That was not good. We got Duo, we got Allo, and we have Pigeon. But honestly, just send a message via Pigeon. It's better at this point. But they are not done. Nope. Gonna give it one more good old try for the believers. And by believers, I mean people that pay money. You see, Scott Johnson, who is the head of Hangouts and Google Voice, talked to Stephen Hall. Hey, you might remember Stephen Hall, our buddy from all the Pixel drama, which was also just a barrel of fun. Hangouts Chat is a thing for G Suite users, so like sort of business focused, and it is like, think Slack, but less Slack and more Google. So you got regular chatting and also video chatting in there. And if you look at this thread from some people from 9to5 Google on Twitter, they don't like it. So I guess our last hope for Google to make messaging great again is RCS, which we know is a thing, but is also becoming complicated. And I doubt it's gonna work out real well. I just have very little faith in Google and messaging. I don't think they're supposed to be together. I don't think they're right for each other. I don't think they should fuck. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, remember how we made fun of Microsoft and Edge and how it's not a real browser? It was a joke. Obviously, it's a real browser and it's real great for doing nothing but downloading Chrome or Firefox, or really anything that's not Microsoft Edge. Well, it turns out we are not the only ones that strongly believe that. Microsoft also believes that. Microsoft is totally giving up on their own thing. It's just not working out. They tried to build a new browser, after Internet Explorer, those days. They wanted to build their own browser from scratch, from the ground up, and it was not good. So now Microsoft is announcing some big changes coming to Edge, and it's real big. So it's getting rebuilt. Microsoft is rebuilding Edge, and now it's going to be built to run on Chromium, which, if you are not playing along at home, is the same open source rendering engine that powers Google Chrome. So Microsoft Edge will soon be powered by Blink. And that's not all. When this is all said and done, they're also bringing it to the Mac. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you accept defeat. To me, this is really, really great. Microsoft, I can't believe I'm saying this, but props, mad respect to you. Not only did you just sort of admit that what you made wasn't good, but you're also ready to say, hey, yeah, you're right. Literally anything else is better. That over there is better. We're going to use that now, okay? We're going to go do that. And forget this ever happened. Just burn the house down and move far, far away. Microsoft, I'm proud of you. Oh, hey, it is now my favorite part of the show, Money Time, the segment of each episode where we stop somewhere in the middle and show you an ad for money. I'm going to do that now. Here you go, money. So there you go. Some of you saw an ad and some of you didn't. Either way, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the show. Some of you have YouTube Premium and some of you have an ad blocker turned on, and we see you. By the way, for those of you who have commented saying that you've turned your ad blocker off for us or you've whitelisted us, thank you for your service. All right, so for a while now, we have heard like rumors, rumblings about an upcoming streaming TV service from Apple, but we haven't really known many details, like exactly what their goals for it would be, what kind of streaming service it would be. But something happened, and it gives us a tiny little hint. So for a split second, it looked bleak for Netflix. It looked like they were about to lose Friends. You know, Friends, the I'll be there for you. Everybody knows your name. Yeah, Friends, very successful show. Anyway, Netflix was about to lose the rights for it, and a bunch of streaming services just started a bidding war. Of course, you may have heard by now, Netflix got it back, and it's going to continue throughout the next year or so. They bought the rights for like $100 million or something nuts. But when the bidding was happening, before Netflix actually secured it, it looked like bids for Friends was coming in from Hulu, Fox, NBCU, Warner Media, but also Apple. So if Apple was trying to buy Friends, or at least buy the rights to stream Friends, which is an old-ass TV show, a really great TV show nonetheless, but an old one, why? Well, to me, it seems like a pretty simple answer at this point. Not only is Apple preparing their own original shows and movies for their own streaming service, but they're also trying to grab rights to older stuff to be able to stream legacy stuff, which makes this seem a lot more like Netflix, like Hulu. Now, for a split second, I was like, I don't think that's a good idea, Timmy. Like, I feel it would be a much better idea for Apple to spend their Apple money and just buy Netflix, just acquire Netflix. There's so much to gain for Apple there. Like, they just buy it and then they have all the things, instead of making their own things, trying to buy their own things. But then I got to thinking, look at what Apple did with Apple Music. When that came out, I was a heavy Spotify user. I still am, really. You know, Pandora was a thing. Apple Music just kind of wasn't needed, but they did it anyway. And the secret to Apple Music was it did not have to be better than any other music streaming service. And it was successful anyway. In fact, it's currently stealing a ton of market share from Spotify. Why? Because it's native. Apple Music is already on the millions and millions and millions of iPhones that ship every year. Not only is it just there, but it's also pretty well integrated throughout the entire OS. For me, that is not enough. I still do not use Apple Music. I still choose Spotify. But for a lot of consumers, specifically Apple's consumers, specifically average consumers, it works. So if and when Apple rolls out their own TV streaming service, they got a horse in this race. Why? Because they have a large market share already. People already have their devices in their pockets. They already have Apple TVs in their living room. I don't say it that way. In their living room. And I don't know, like if they did it, they would have a chance. Scratch that. They are going to do it, and it does not have to be great. It does not have to be better than Netflix. It does not have to be better than Hulu. And if I was Netflix, if I was Hulu, and I knew Apple was rolling out a service and it didn't actually have to be better than mine to still steal customers from me, I'd be a little worried. What do you guys think? If and when Apple rolls this out, are you interested? Would you use it? Or would you stick with Netflix? Because I would. Okay, so last up, yesterday, OnePlus did a little bit of a whoops-a-daisy and f***ed up in a pretty big way. Now, this happened yesterday, and we did not upload a show yesterday, which worked out in our favor because we would have totally covered this story. You see, the Snapdragon Summit is going on right now, pretty significant event, and the star of the show really is the Snapdragon 855. Yeah, well, about that. Yesterday, Pete Lau, CEO of OnePlus, took the stage and made quite the announcement. He announced that the OnePlus, is it 7 at this point? The OnePlus 7 would be the first phone, keyword, words really, the first phone to feature the Snapdragon 855. That's a big deal, and it was covered everywhere. Like, that's a really big deal for OnePlus. And honestly, I was kind of glad to see them get that sort of appreciation and respect, and they got to be the first device or the first manufacturer to include a device that has the 855 inside. But then you got to start thinking, because Samsung usually puts out phones early in the year, and Samsung is usually the first. So if Samsung is definitely not changing the timeline for their phones, yet OnePlus is going to be the first phone to have the 855 inside of it, wouldn't that mean that OnePlus has moved up the release of their phone? So it would be safe to assume we would see the OnePlus 7 in January. Yeah, which for a second had me feeling way bad about everyone that just bought a OnePlus 6T. Because then in a couple months, after you just bought your cool new phone, the actual new phone is coming out from OnePlus. But my friends, that is not what happened. You see, the whole thing was just a mistake, a miscommunication. This all happened because that one slide that said that the OnePlus 7 would be the first phone to feature the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855, that was a lie. In fact, it was supposed to say one of the first devices to feature the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855. And I don't know if you went to school, but there is a massive difference between first, the first, and one of the first. I mean, this was so deep and so confusing that even OnePlus's own social media accounts were shocked and surprised by this. Like, this tweet from OnePlus mentioned that they stole the show with a major surprise. First phone. Fucking yikes. That is awful. I feel bad for OnePlus. I feel bad for OnePlus's fan base. Specifically the fan base. OnePlus should have fucking not done that. But this to me is better than it happening on stage, right? They show the slide and then they're like, wait. Never mind. That's wrong. We gotta switch it. That happening at the event would be more embarrassing, like the whole Steve Harvey thing where he announced, what was it, Miss USA or Miss Kentucky or some shit, where he announced the wrong winner. We don't want it to be like that. So it's better that they showed it, we all celebrated, everyone went home, and then they were like, yeah, about that, we was wrong. And that is the show. Hopefully, of course, you liked it, you learned something. If you did, hit that like button. If you hate my stupid face, hit the dislike button. If you're new here, subscribe. I don't know why you would. See you tomorrow.